In terms of Royal Mail, tell us a bit about what's happened there, because I think a lot of people, when they hear about workers going on strike, in their head, they always associate it with defeats. I mean, they think of, maybe a younger audience watched Pride and saw, amazing film about the miners' strike where the miners got clobbered, and the union movement never recovered from the miners' strike in the mid-1980s in lots of ways. And what we don't often hear about, we hear that glorious defeat, as it was sometimes referred to, but when miners so courageously fought for their communities and their lives and were smashed. But people don't think of actually there are these victories that are taking place because of unions organizing in the here and now. So just tell me a bit about what's happened with Royal Mail, because that's been a long and arduous struggle.
Well, I mean, we've secured a really good agreement during the pandemic, and essentially, it's been a struggle from the moment that the pandemic started, because you may recall that we'd actually just announced the result of a ballot for industrial action. We got a 97% yes vote, and we got, I think it was around about 75% turnout. So we smashed the Tory anti-trade union laws. And, we took a decision that it would have been wrong at that point, even with that backing of the membership, to have launched into strike action at that point in time, even though we had that mandate, because we recognised that the role of postal workers and the work they do was going to be really important. We actually said to the company, you should be putting postal workers forward now as an additional emergency service almost during the pandemic. And that was part of a strategy of us to enhance the role of postal workers. And we were up against the CEO, who clearly his plan kind of got uncovered. It wasn't what he was saying initially, but it became clear what he was doing was he was about to abandon Royal Mail as we know it, and he wanted to set up the company as just another parcel courier. And in doing that, he was going to set up a separate parcels company. And over a period of time, he was going to introduce new workers into that, new terms and conditions lower than what we've negotiated for our members. And essentially, his strategy was to let Royal Mail wither on the vine, and anything that was going to grow, i.e. parcels, he was going to push it into a new company. Back to that classic moment that all of these CEOs who don't have an interest in workers, only in hitting the numbers and making profits for the shareholders and themselves, classic strategy. So we made it clear we weren't accepting that. And, we had some moments during the course of that where our members got behind us. It wasn't done as in terms of legal action. And, people made it clear on the ground that we weren't going to accept that. They were trying to introduce changes and people just weren't going along with it. And what I've got to say about our union, which is unique in some ways because of the structure of Royal Mail, where we've got workplaces across the whole of the country, in every town and city and in villages, in some cases, is we've still got workplace reps who have power, where the manager has to sit down and negotiate with them. And one of the things we did as a union when Royal Mail was privatised, we weren't defeated by privatisation. We had a strategy to protect the workplace structure and to fight for it no matter what. And that came into being. The CEO was forced out. There's no two ways about that. We forced him out. He lost the confidence of some of the board members. And ultimately, through the course of that, we negotiated an agreement that completely changed that strategy, and now means that in terms of trying to grow the business, it's going to be done with the existing workforce. We're going to expand the role of postal workers. A lot of people have written off the industry because letters are in decline. We've managed to now say, well, actually, your greatest asset is your frontline worker. So why not build your strategy for the future around somebody who owns trust on the doorstep? And we can put forward more products and services. We want postal workers to have the opportunity to work with councils in supporting vulnerable people, We're going to develop ideas around this in supporting local businesses, tailored services. The key thing for us is that postal workers themselves can create that agenda, and that's what the agreement has done. On top of that, we got a 2-year pay deal worth over 6%, and we got an hour off the working week. We've got job security guaranteed for another 2 or 3 years, where nobody will be made redundant. And actually, we're just now seeing signs of the industry growing again. So it was a very significant victory that doesn't often get talked about too much. And it's a victory that we've had several times because, and I will make this point, we as a union were never going to be defeated by privatisation. We had a strategy to deal with that. We've stopped the company franchising. We've stopped them outsourcing. They've not introduced 2-tier terms and conditions. And it's been an ongoing struggle and an ongoing strategy backed by our members, backed by workplace trade unionism, is the truth.